Hello there folks, and welcome to the latest edition of The Boss's View, in which Chris and I will talk about the past two games against Dulwich and Carshalton, where we sadly suffered our first defeat in 11 games, but we saw a big crowd at the pilot field, the returns of Tom Chalmers and Jack Dixon, a debut for Will Harley, and a first team start for Dan Hull. We'll also take a bit of a deeper dive into the analysis, training and preparation that the team does between those games. We'll talk about link-ups with professional clubs, and of course we'll look forward to the forthcoming run of fixtures at the pilot field over the next few weeks, 4 home games in 5. So lots to look forward to. Hello the U's fans, hope you're all well. I'm here with Chris to review the recent matches against Dulwich and Carshalton and look forward to what's a very exciting set of home fixtures in the near future. 4 games out of 5 at the pilot field for the team at last. So where are we? We're back from the game at Carshalton. The team had been unbeaten for 10 games before that, so the run was always going to end, I guess, Chris.
Yeah.
It was maybe just the manner in which it ended that was disappointing.
Yeah, it was frustrating because obviously nobody likes losing. Fortunately, it's only been 3 times, so I think it's been 17, 18 games now. So the record's been pretty decent. Obviously, you don't want to lose once. It's always frustrating, but it was frustrating the way that we got beat, but there's also like a backhanded compliment in there. So, I mean, Carshalton, I've never known Carshalton to sit in like that and opt for like a low block, counter-attack, back to front very quickly. I've always sort of known Peter's Carshalton as front foot, aggressive, in your face, attacking, trying to push the game really. So, but I believe I'm pretty sure they'd done the same against Hornchurch the week before. So for us to be sort of put in a similar sort of bracket and for Carshalton to adopt a similar approach against us as what they did against Hornchurch, obviously there's a compliment in there somewhere. And their manager was quite open about it in terms of if they'd set up the same way as perhaps they did against us, like they did at the pilot field, then obviously we won 4-0 and it was a really comprehensive performance. So again, disappointing to lose. Credit to Carshalton because they've done something that we didn't expect, and we didn't deal with it particularly well at all. But what it did do, it sort of, as I said, that compliment that they're setting up the way they are to try and stifle us and stop us playing, and also it's a nice reminder that we've got a young group. We've got relatively used to teams coming after us and going toe to toe since sort of been back at the club, and perhaps because we've had so much success now, teams are going to try and adopt a different approach, like Carshalton did, like Cray done, like Concord done. So again, it's just another opportunity for the group to learn to deal with a different approach from the opposition. But again, it just shows. Again, it's early days and it's quite a green group, a young group, and as I said, they're obviously not used to that type of challenge. But I get the feeling it's something that we're going to have to get used to. Yeah.
So second half we did pick it up and did pretty well. I think you say about the Carshalton tactics. The game hinged on the 2 goals that we conceded in the first half, didn't we? The first goal, free kick, was almost on the halfway line. Fairly free-ish header, and then got caught in possession for the second one. The thing about that first goal and the goals conceded against Dulwich was balls in the air, balls in the box, balls dropping.
Set pieces.
Is that something the lads are fairly aware of now?
I mean, it's something we work on religiously because both boxes are most important parts of the pitch. As I said, I mean, if you can be great between both boxes, but if you're not competitive and aggressive and effective in both boxes, you can forget scoring goals, you can forget not conceding goals. So Yeah, it's something that we speak about, and that's probably what makes it really frustrating, because it's something that we talk about, like the goals against Dulwich. The first one, it's an own goal at the back post. Yeah. Those things can happen. Whereas the second one, we weren't set up accordingly. The gaps between individual players was too big. As basic as it sounds, if you've got Hastings player, Dulwich player, Hastings player, that's a problem when you're defending a wide free kick. And then against Carshalton, we talk around when we drop, the timing of when we drop together. We talk about being brave and making sure that if there's any early runs, you hold the line, and then we drop as a collective at a certain point in the takers run up. We speak around body shape as well. So if the set piece is coming from our left, we make sure that we're left foot on the 18-yard box line, so you're half turn, ready to race to defend the space in behind. And then you couple that with the timing of the drop being collective, and also making sure the gaps between individual players are right, so maximum arm's length. If we get that right and they still score, that's on me. That's my responsibility. Yeah. But we didn't do that against Dulwich, and we didn't do that against Carshalton, and that's why we've conceded 2 costly goals from set pieces. So, very frustrating. But as I said, the group are aware of it, and it's for me as well. Like organisation-wise, I'm very happy with the approach we adopt. Because it's invariably pretty good. For me, it's a case of just making sure we've got players in there organising and leading and making sure the setup's correct. And there appears to be an absence of that in the last couple of games where the setup's not been right. So it's not so much the planned organisation, it's just making sure that the players out on the pitch are organising and doing that and making sure we're set up accordingly. But again, that's another reflection of a young group, really. Yeah,
because we gone from, we had Gary Elphick, Craig Stone, had those sort of characters, and even Jason, when he first came in, had that level of experience. But now it is Tommy, Sam, Dan, even people like Ollie and Sam McCoy and Sam Gale. They're all young lads, aren't they?
They are, yeah, and it's a challenge really. We've set to the group in terms of like, you've got to show that personality, you've got to show that character, you've got to show that leadership skill. And to be fair, we've done that in different ways. And it's, as I said, that we've just said to the group on reflection from these games, like who's going to step up and do that? Who's going to take responsibility? Who's going to be the one that's barking out orders, screaming and shouting, making sure that the setup's right? And as I said, if the setup's right and we do everything that's asked, then we concede. That's our responsibility as staff. So that's really the challenge for one of these younger players to get the ball by the horns and get hold of it. So as I said, like whether that's Adam Lovett, it's something that he needs to develop. Whether that's David Radari, whether that's Ollie Black, it's an opportunity there for us to as I said, develop our leadership skills and develop our communication. So.
Yeah, and of course, in that light, Jack's first game back at the Pilot Field. Looking at the positives, Jack's first game back, and of course, Tom's first full game back at the Pilot Field, that Dulwich game. Yeah. Tom had a sort of dream game. I spoke to him afterwards, people would have seen that. He settled in. Jack settled in pretty well. Tom obviously had one of those games where it just went right for him. 2 great goals. I think watching that second goal from behind the goal, the camera footage, how quickly he got onto that and got it out from under his feet and put it in. Just the instinct. That's what I said to him in the interview. His instinct was still there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. No, it was brilliant. It was a great day for Tom. It was really emotional actually, because I've obviously seen it with David, where he's come back from a long-term injury, and I can remember David's first goal back. It was VCD away, and it was an incredible moment, like one of those moments that genuinely you'll stay with you forever, really. And I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but I did get emotional in the dugout, and so did some of the players. And it's like, it was amazing. I was really pleased for him. It's great because, as I said, win, lose or draw, for that young man after such a huge setback to come back and have that experience. I mean, that's a moment that he's going to remember for the rest of his life in front of over 2,000 people. Playing a starring role, first game back, 2 goals, man of the match. Like, it was brilliant. It was just a shame that we didn't convert that into a deserved win. I mean, because
for periods of that game, we played very well, didn't we?
Oh yeah, I mean,
once we'd weathered the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they had the first 10 minutes, but again, I didn't really sort of like. It wasn't for anything that they'd done particularly well. I mean, I must admit, I saw their manager's post-match interview, and I had to watch the game back because I thought, Jesus, like, maybe I've completely missing this game. So I've watched it back, and I'm like, we could have scored 7 goals in that game.
Yeah.
When we went 1-0 up, Keir Moynes has one tipped onto the bar from 6 yards out. Tommy Penfold misses 2 great opportunities inside the box. John Ufer has a shot blocked. That could be 4-0 at half time. And then second half, Keir Moynes goes through, misses from 6 yards out, puts one over the bar. John Ufer runs through, should slide David, but doesn't. So, as I said, the general feeling was when I heard the post-match, I thought, I need to watch this back. I thought, Christ, I want to drink what he's been drinking. Like, I thought, bloody hell! Like, but then when I watched it back, I thought, no, we could have won that 5 or 6. So frustrating that we didn't get the 3 points. But again, like I've said from day one, I'm very process driven and performances and stuff like that. And I think for us to do that to a Dulwich team with their experience, their resources, fresh from National League South, like, for them to come to us and scrape a 2-2 draw and be absolutely delighted about it is, again, a real positive sign in terms of we're in a good place, we're moving in the right direction. And again, like, linking back to the Carshalton point in terms of how Carshalton have really completely changed their approach to try and stifle us. That's another compliment, really, that, and another sign that we're in a good place. So it's just a shame, really, because we deserve to win the game. And so Dulwich had the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes, whereas we had everything else in between, and the game should have been won. A bit like Bognor, really, in terms of the first 30 minutes against Bognor, the game should have been won. Similar to the Concord game, should have been done. So we can put a bit of a focus on conceding goals, but I think I think there's a few games that could have gone the same way as the Folkestone game, whereas if we take a 2-goal lead, it's done. It's 3 or 4, it's one of them. So, but then equally, what I would say is you shouldn't have to score 3 goals to win a game of football.
No.
So, but again, I'm disappointed not to win, but pleased with the performances. And so going back to Tom, delighted he's back. Obviously, Dicko coming back's great. We just as I said, got to try and keep moving forwards and keep trying to improve performances, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, and from Saturday, Dan Hull made his debut, and young Will Harley came on for half an hour or so. A fantastic touch and shift of the ball to John Ufer for the goal we scored. That was so natural. It's sort of everyone behind the goal. Obviously, they celebrated the goal, but the talk of the goal was him shifting that ball. Yeah, and so that was great, wasn't it? How did you feel Dan did? And obviously very pleased with Will. Yeah,
I mean, Dan come into the side because Tommy had a bit of a knock from the Dulwich game. Didn't fully train on Tuesday or Thursday. So we thought it was an opportunity for Dan to get a run out. We're also conscious where, there's no under-21s games programme. Yeah. You've sort of got to go, well, these guys have got to play, because otherwise, they go months without playing, and then when they're really needed to come into the side, they're going to be undercooked, and it's sort of setting them up to fail, really. So we thought, whilst Tommy was touch and go, it was a good opportunity for Dan to come into the side. He's trained really well, get minutes in the bank, and he done all right. As I said, I don't think he's probably ever faced an opposition do that, like just sitting like they did. So it was a great challenge for him, and he was one of the main sort of players that I felt it did show a lack of experience where you go, I'm not sure how to deal with this. So, but again, there's plenty of learning there for Dan, and he'll be better for the experience. Again, most importantly, minutes in the bank, which is great. And Will Harley, I'm delighted for Will because I'll be honest, like he's he wasn't playing for Little Common first team. He's been playing for the under-18s, and I've had a few people go, a little bit like Keir Moynes, a little bit like Jamal Lubanga, like Ollie Black. What's he doing at Hastings? Like, is it he's not dominating county league football. How's he going to perform for Hastings? But as I said, I saw Will in pre-season playing for Pass and Move in East Sussex football, and I was like, he could do an awful lot of things. Exactly what you saw on Saturday: backing in, receiving back to goal, linking play, strong, powerful. I just thought he was a bit of a throwback. Yeah. So I thought a different type of centre forward. You don't really get those types of centre forward anymore. So I thought, and when I played with Andy Atkin at Eastbourne Borough, who, he was outstanding centre forward in non-league, and you sort of think, well, there's a lot to like about Will. So obviously we brought him in, and there's been a few question marks. I'm just delighted that in his first opportunity to get on the pitch, he's shown everyone that he's exciting.
Well,
as I said,
he can hack it.
100%.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's early days, and he might not be ready for 2 or 3 years, and it's about dipping him in and taking him out and playing under-18s football, playing 21s football, and we can put games in place. Might be 15 minutes for the first team. Like, as I said, it's very much bigger picture and longer term. But what I think we did see is that if we need something a bit different,
he's got it.
Yeah, and he can come on and affect the game against 2 very good centre halves for Carshalton.
And I quite like the way he got a couple of free kicks given against him, which showed that he was in there mixing it.
He'll mix it. That's one of the things I liked about him, was his mentality. So that it's easy for, he's only just 17. He's only just turned 17,
really.
and one of the things with younger players is, it's all right in amongst your peers mixing it and being a bit of a flat track bully, but can you do it against men in front of 600-700 people, or you're gonna fold a little bit? And what I was impressed with when I saw him in pre-season is he was knocking men over. I was going, and then the next test really was, what are you going to be like in front of a decent crowd? And I thought he'd come on and done great, and a nice, he can definitely impact the present, but more of a glimpse into a really exciting future, hopefully. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, so 2 games where the results didn't go where we wanted, but lots to take out of it. Yeah, you've got the players. It's Monday, by the way, and you've got the players in today, and they're in again Tuesday and Thursday. So 3 times this week. Ben White said to me that he got the feeling they were training very hard. Yeah. And that's great, isn't it? So what sort of things are you working on?
The thing is, the big thing is how can we gain an advantage over competition? So we don't have the resources that I'd say probably 2/3 of the league have, but what we do maybe lack in that department, we try and make up for and bridge the gap in terms of how we set the team up, how much contact time we get with the players, making sure that what we're doing on the training pitch links directly to the game. As I said, it's not just on the pitch but off the pitch. I mean, we spoke about earlier, like the lads will get feedback on every session, every game, team meetings, post-match, pre-match. We just try and cover as many bases as possible just to try and maximise the lads' output. But also, we want to try and help them kick on and develop as players, and if we can do that individually, then so if every one of our players can improve 1%, that's a 20% improvement to the team's performance. So that's what it's all about, really. We'll, like tonight, we'll reflect from the weekend. We'll work on some stuff, some standout bits in terms of what we struggle with. So as I said, when the opposition drops off, how are we then going to move them around and disrupt them? So most teams will come after us and have come after us. And we've done loads of work on that, and we've got pretty good at dealing with that and pulling that apart. As I said, more teams are now starting to sit off a little bit. Carshalton unexpectedly, Concord Cray more expectedly sat off. So again, it'll be like tonight, working on how we can disrupt that organisation. Then Tuesday there'll be more work with the whole group around, again, reflecting from the game at the weekend, but then with a view very much to what does the next game look like, and then we'll start preparing for hashtag at the weekend, which it's interesting because I said I would never have, and maybe I've sort of undercooked how well we've done and the impact we've had, but I wouldn't have thought Carshalton would have adopted the same approach as what they did against Hornchurch as against Hastings, especially on their own patch. I was really surprised. And I'd be surprised if hashtag done the same, because in all the games we've seen, hashtag are very front foot and aggressive and they come after you, but maybe they might employ a similar approach as Carshalton. So who knows, but we'll try and cover all bases and prepare the group as best as possible. But again, underpinning everything really is, this is the type of team we want to be. This is how we want to play. We want to have the ball. We want to dictate. I know it sounds really cheesy, but if it's a film, we want to be the lead role. Yeah. We don't want to be the supporting act. We want to be dictating. And I think the best way to do that is by having the ball. So that'll underpin everything we do on a training pitch, as well as we try and improve the lads as well. Like, what does Adam Lovett need to work on? If it's his forward passing, we'll make sure over the course of the week he gets loads of opportunity to work on that. If it's Will Harley working on receiving back to goal, so we'll do loads of that just to try and make sure the working week is relevant to each individual, as well as trying to help the team perform and move in the right direction, really.
Yeah, so you mentioned hashtag, punctuated by an away game against Kingstonian, but we now move into 4 pretty interesting and almost increasingly interesting fixtures, aren't they? Got hashtag, Margate, Horsham, and then Lewis. So that'll keep the lads busy, and great for the home crowd actually to see that run of games.
Yes, nice.
Busy times, and you're going to need to keep the team fit, keep them rested between the games as well. Is that do you have to sort of think about that?
Yeah, potentially. It's interesting because I'm always very much bigger picture, longer term. Like we spoke after the Canby Island game, we could have got a couple of, we were light due to a couple of injuries, and we could have. And we also spoke at half-time about we could have made wholesale changes at half-time, but we actually thought bigger picture, the lads are better off going through that experience and struggling through that, because it'll put them in good place longer term. So in terms of the workload, we're just going to keep putting our foot on the accelerator, to be honest. We're just going to keep working hard. We're going to keep training 2-3 times a week. We're going to keep trying to squeeze everything we can out of the lads. And, my big thing is, I want to go into every game knowing that we've done more or prepared each individual as best we can. And obviously, there's some lads in there that physically might need managing. But for me, in terms of like a majority of groups, a younger generation. So as I said, to help them get to their maximum potential, I don't think it will be doing them any favours if we have too many nights off. So we'll just be working hard, trying to squeeze everything we can out of everyone. And what I tend to find is there might be a few short-term negatives. Like there might be the odd injury. Like we might go into a couple of games
bit tired,
bit fatigued. But I think bigger picture, the players become more robust. Like when I was here before, we've always had an 18-man squad. Very rarely had many injuries. Short term we did, but longer term the players become more physically robust and got used to the workload, and that ended up really giving us, a bit of an advantage over the opposition, because whilst teams were training once a week, we were in potentially 2-3 times a week, and as I said, the players become used to it, and it's a step towards more of a full-time model, which is ultimately going to get more out of the
where it could end up.
Group. Who knows? Well, hopefully, as I said, if the club goes on an upward trajectory, that'd be great. But also individually, if any of the boys kick on,
for sure.
Like I can remember Ben Ward when he left to go to Burnley. One of the first things he said was how easy it was at Burnley compared to Hastings, because he went in there was like, because he was playing with under 18s. And he's gone from training virtually full time with men. He's gone in there and gone, this is easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we, as I said, the big thing is we want to squeeze everything we can out of the lads. So we're just going to this period really excited, looking forward to it, put our foot on the gas. And if, as I said, there's a few short-term negatives now, I'm pretty sure and experience tells me that longer term, whether it's we see it this season or next season, we'll be in a better place for it.
Nice. In the Observer, you said that you thought these run of games would define our season.
Yeah.
Do you still think that?
Yeah, I think the run of games is really important. It's really important because it's not just who we're playing. Everyone's playing everyone else around us. So there's going to be, everyone's going to drop points. So it's really a case of who drops the least, as basic as that sounds. I think the Christmas period put us into a really good position. Sort of consolidated that periphery of the playoff position. Now it's just a case of, can we squeeze everything we can out of these next 5, 6, 7 games, and then I think that'll tell us where we're at. Because as I said, we're playing lots of teams around us, a lot of teams at the top end of the table. So, if we come through that, picking up a decent amount of points and performing well, then maybe we are a good side and we're in a really good place. Whereas if we fall short and we're not quite there yet and we end up working towards mid-table, and you go, well, maybe that's where we're at. But either way, I think when I come in, the brief was, make sure we stay in the league, because it was a bit, as I said, I can remember looking at, when I first took the job, I thought, it's a bit tight. I'm not overly comfortable with the fact that we're that close to the bottom. That, to be honest, I've not really been used to it. So that was a different type of pressure. Whereas now we're thinking we can attack the playoffs here. That's a real positive, and as I said, it perhaps shows how far we've come. So again, I think the next 5, 6, 7 games will give us a real clear indication of where we're at. But that's exciting. As I said, there's no danger of us
indeed
going that way, which there was at one point. So for me, it's just all about enjoying the situation we're in. I said to the lads at the weekend, imagine going into games thinking we could get relegated or we could drop into the bottom 4 here. Like that sort of pressure, I can get that. Whereas from us, we're looking at the point of view of, we're up near the top end of the table, 2 or 3 consecutive wins, and you're there or thereabouts in terms of the playoffs. We just need to enjoy this next period of time and enjoy the expectation, which is obviously increased because we've done well, and let's embrace it and let's see where we can go with it. Because there's no real pressure. As I said, it's just we're a young group that should just be excited by the opportunity that sits in front of us.
Yeah, and been fantastic. Back at the Pilot Field 4 times, decent crowds.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. The vibe at the Dulwich game was so positive.
Brilliant,
if that carries on in the crowd for the next 4 games, it's going to be brilliant. And the other teams will probably bring a few fans as well. Shame the games are on a Tuesday, a couple of them, but that's the way it is. But I think there'll be good crowds.
Yeah, I think it just further vindicates the vision of the owners as well, in terms of, we wanted to have a team that the supporters could connect with, and there's no coincidence. We've got more local players out there, and performances have improved.
Yeah,
we've recruited the right ones from away. We've kept the right ones from away.
I think that's it. I think again, the supporters see the players that come from away. They can see that they really want to be here, and that's a good thing that comes across.
100%. So I think, again, couple that with the fact that we've now got a core of local players back in the side, that gets people through the gate. And when you see, and I can remember saying it from early on, when you've got 14 men trying their best, giving everything for the shirt, win, lose or draw. I mean, there was no doubt against Dulwich. It was disappointing to draw, but you know, they gave everything.
Yeah.
As I said, I know in our supporters, like I do, you know, they you know, that's what they want to see as a bare minimum. So again, I think there's no coincidence that, as I said, Gates appear to be going in the right direction, and hopefully we can just keep building on it, because that will only help us moving forwards as well in terms of retaining our best players, recruiting new players. You know, that's a big thing. You know, if you're playing in front of over 1,000 people, that's a huge draw. So
that's what they want to do, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing, I'm genuinely, like, the supporters make such a huge difference to that. You know, when I've said it this week to a couple of people. You know, we're talking to a championship club about potentially loaning a player and bringing a lad in, and when I can say to them, not only can we help them in terms of their what we're doing on the pitch and, you know, all the technical tactical stuff, but also they're going to be exposed to the pressure of playing in front of over 1,000 people, which in 23s football or B team football, 18s football, they won't get. So when I can put that forward to a championship club and they go, you know, that's another bonus. So again, the supporters are so important.
Yeah, because you went up to, I was going to ask you about that to close off actually. You went up to Hull City, didn't you, with James?
Yeah,
James
brilliant.
Hopkins.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, really good, really good. So, you know, it comes through connection with one of our owners who has ties with people that work at Hull City in terms of how Hull City play on the pitch, in terms of their game model. There's some strong similarities. So we had an opportunity to go up there and basically pitch what we do at Hastings United and how we can potentially benefit each other in a working relationship, really.
Great.
You know, obviously the fact that we've had so many players on loan that have then gone back to their clubs and kicked on, the fact that we've produced the number of players we have consistently, also the fact that we're at the level we are and we're competing, big crowds, it all sort of feeds into why Hull City would be interested in working with us. So yeah, great opportunity, and again, it is hopefully a further sort of indication that we're in a really good place and on and off the pitch.
Yeah, and developing partnerships like that. Key.
Definitely. Well, again, it just reinforces the way that we play as well, because I know passing the ball's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, going back to what we believe in and how we want to play, in terms of we want to be the lead role, we want to dictate that. You know, in terms of forming links and relationships with professional football clubs, we're more likely to do that because that's going to be more beneficial to their players developing. Yes. For example, loans versus the let's sit in and turn it around and go from back to front and play second ball and all this sort of stuff, which, as I said, it's horses for courses. But in terms of what we want to do and the type of football we want to play and the model that we have at the club, it comes hand in hand with, as I said, developing those relationships. So.
Brilliant. Okay, last but not least, Tommy Fagg, okay?
Oh yeah, he can't come back quick enough. Honestly, I couldn't believe it when he got injured. I was like, because I thought he was flying against Cheshunt. I thought he's a beast. We're hoping a couple of weeks. If I could wheel him out there with one leg, I'd have a go. He's that important to us. He's such a big loss to how we want to play as well. And again, he was just getting up to steam. I thought Cheshunt, he was brilliant, involved in all 3 goals, scoring against Folkestone. I mean, he could have had 5 or 6 goals already for us. So, he's all right. As I said, he can't return quick enough, to be honest. We'd probably think he'd be ready for at a push Margate. Okay. But that's me being very generous and me probably doing a lot of convincing to our physio that that's a good idea. So better to have him back right, I guess. Oh, definitely. Well, especially like going back to what you're saying, there's a lot of games coming up and there's some big games and we're going to need our best players, and obviously Tommy's right up there in terms of importance to the team. So we need him back for an exciting period. Okay, thank you so much for talking to us. Pleasure. We will pick up on the individual games as we go, I guess, won't we? So look forward to that. #United on Saturday. We'll look forward to seeing you all there, and a really good run of games coming up. Be there. It's going to be really, really interesting. And
I think we're pretty optimistic, aren't we?
Yeah, it should be good. Should be good fun. That's what we're doing it for, isn't it? It's opportunity to play against the biggest clubs in front of biggest supports at the level. So it's exciting.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers.